You're listening to The Frieze by NYY Recaps. I'm your host, Derek Lewandowski. Let's get started. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to NYY Recaps. This is The Frieze. You might notice a new template. This is something that I've been working on. I want to expand The Frieze. One thing about running a YouTube channel is you get to see which videos people watch for the longest, and you get to see when people are consuming content and what type of content they prefer to receive. And The Frieze has been pretty popular, so I want to make this a regular part of the post game. So not every day, but after multiple games per week, instead of getting a live stream, you're going to get this, The Frieze, which basically does my recap, but it's over the highlights of recent games, things like that, and it has some headlines, some stats, all that good stuff. I am getting my internet hardwired next week, so the live streams will be coming back more frequently, but I'm taking a little bit of a hiatus from post-game reactions because I need to have my internet be stable. If it disconnects, it screws with my sponsorships, it screws with my viewers, so I just don't like that, so I'm getting everything squared away. So in the meantime, enjoy this episode of The Frieze. So top of the first, the Yankees went quietly. This guy Gilbert looked really good from the get-go. He looks like he's going to be a challenge going forward. We saw the fastball get up into the high 90s. He's a big, lanky kid, all arms and legs. Kind of a funky delivery. Really gets that arm down behind his body. If he refines his delivery a little bit and puts on some muscle, this guy's going to be a beast for a long time. Doesn't have a lot of movement on the fastball, but he can really rush it up there. Jordan Montgomery was hitting bats in the first two innings. Too many pitches over the heart of the plate. Kyle Seager crushed a first pitch fastball that was supposed to be away, but it kind of leaked over the inside part of the plate, and he hit it over the center field wall, which is not an easy feat. That's a shot in Seattle. We've seen a number of balls die on the warning track in this series alone. So the Mariners jump up 1-0. Nice shot by Kyle Seager. Giancarlo Stanton picked up a leadoff double in the top of the second. I swear, it takes this guy 3.5 hours to get down the line. I've been watching a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies. I just watched The Hateful Eight. It's like 3 hours long. You could have watched this movie in the time that Giancarlo got to first base practically. How does somebody who's a top-of-the-market athlete just a few years ago become completely unable to run the bases? That's the mystery of the season to me. This guy is an amazing physique. He looks like an Adonis, but he's just not flexible enough. That just goes to show you how important it is to stretch and how important it is to do more than just weight training. Got to run sprints. Got to do baseball activities. We've seen it happen before. Albert Pujols is unbelievably slow and has been for a while. Edgar Martinez couldn't really run at the end of his career, but Stanton is just 31. I find it almost offensive that someone who's in as good a shape as he is can have so much difficulty running the bases. Gardner grounded out to end the inning, and the Yankees wasted his leadoff double. Mariners picked up a 2-run home run in the bottom of the second from Dylan Moore, their second baseman, who's batting just 180 at the time of this recording. And it was a shot over the left center field wall. Another meatball, it looked like. Just kind of hung out there saying, "Hit me, baby, hit me." And Dylan Moore was happy to oblige. Gilbert was practically unhittable. Through the first 6 innings, he allowed just 1 hit, no runs, and 7 strikeouts. And this goes to show you that it's possible that this right-handed lineup that's been crushing lefties the last couple of days has met its kryptonite, a right-handed pitcher. What have we been saying all along? The team is too right-handed. I had a commenter say that not having enough left-handers has nothing to do with it, and I respectfully disagree. As an offense, you've got to change up the looks that you give to pitchers, and I know I sound like a broken record. By the way, I've been thinking about getting a record player. I don't have a record player or any records, but I've been told they sound really good. So send me your favorite albums to get on vinyl, because I'm going to order one. Anyway, I got to learn how to use a record player, by the way. Anyway, I sound like a broken record because whenever the Yankees offense stalls, it's because you got a bunch of righties doing a bunch of righty stuff, swinging over sliders and having trouble with two-seam fastballs inside. And Gilbert wasn't even really throwing the two-seam fastball. He was throwing a lot of four-seamers and just blowing it by guys. The Yankees did not have a lot of good swings off of Gilbert today. Now, full disclosure, I record this as the game is going along. So some days it'll be longer, some days it'll be shorter. There's not as much to talk about today because the Yankees have precisely one hit off of Gilbert. I'll tell you this about Logan Gilbert. He's got a very long extension when he strides down the mound. And they actually mentioned it on the broadcast that he's closer to home plate than anybody else basically in baseball when he releases the ball. That's what Randy Johnson did all those years. So maybe the Mariners taking a page out of their old playbook. Randy Johnson threw 100 miles an hour, but he was also 3/4 from the left side. And he strided way... Is strided a word? Strode? He strided. I don't know. It doesn't sound right, but he would get way down the mound before he released the ball. And if you're a lefty, he was actually releasing it behind your head because he's throwing at that 3/4 angle. So that made him really, really difficult to hit. If he had put it together earlier in his career, let's say he had developed the control that he had later in his career when he was, 21, 22, instead of in his mid to late 20s, he would have been even better. He might have had close to 5,000 strikeouts. Lefties just had no chance. Lefties would just sit out when he would come to town. Anyway, Logan Gilbert, 7 innings, just 1 hit today, no walks, 8 strikeouts. He threw 102 pitches, it looks like, and 67 strikes. That's pretty damn impressive for a young kid. Jordan Montgomery overall had a decent outing. Other than the runs early, he went 6 2/3, 4 hits, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. He's got a 4.16 ERA at the time I'm recording this. Now, full disclosure, I do record this live. I think I mentioned that earlier. And Justin Wilson is in the game, and there is a runner on first base. I'll let you know if he scores in a few seconds, but basically, Jordan Montgomery had a pretty good outing. You take away the first couple of innings, and he had a really good outing, but ultimately it ended up being slightly better than the definition of a quality start, which is 6 innings, 3 earned runs. His fastball looked good today. He was struggling with his breaking ball early on in the game, but he got more command of that as the game went on. Again, just 2 walks and 9 strikeouts. You can't complain about that, though the Mariners are not a great offensive team. By the way, Justin Wilson's ERA right now, I'm looking at it, is 8.79. That should be illegal. If your ERA gets above 7, you should automatically go to the minor leagues. That should be written into the next collective bargaining agreement. It's never going to happen, but I'm just saying, it's ugly. While we have a break in the action and we wait for something to happen, I thought I would talk a little bit more about the channel since you're here and you obviously like the channel. So one of the challenges with doing a channel like this, especially a sports channel, is just that so much happens in sports that if you try and cover it all the time, you're going to get burned out. And I'm basically just running myself ragged. So what I'm trying to do, now that we're halfway through the season, and after 81 games, I started kind of compiling all the notes that I had taken all year long. As Bauer's fouls went off, it is 1-2. Justin Wilson looking to get out of this without allowing that runner to score. One of the things that I'm doing is compiling all the notes I've taken all year and assembling them into action items and assembling the channel around what I've learned from doing it so far this season. And one thing I've noticed is that the post-game live streams are tough because the internet constantly cuts in and out. So I have booked for next week someone to come and install a hardline. That should allow me, when I choose to live stream, to provide better and much more stable content. And I owe that to you guys, the audience, as well as to me, because I put a lot of work into this stuff, and I'd hate for it to get screwed up by an internet or by a blurry picture. And then also I owe it to my sponsors who are paying me to put out a good product. So my intention is to make the live streams a little bit more sparse until my internet comes up. I chose to have this done over the All-Star break because I don't know exactly what day they're going to come do it. They're coming tomorrow to, do kind of a pre-work estimate, and then they're going to come back sometime next week and set me up. And I also ordered a hub for my computer that has an Ethernet port, so I think we're going to be good there. I think it'll come out really strong. Morning Yanks, because it's a time to award the belt, is mostly going to be after Yankees wins. Although I'll occasionally do it after a loss. I might include a U in the title. That was a tip I got from a viewer that said you should make one for losses called Morning Yanks, spelled as in mourning a loss. So that might be what I do. I might create 2 templates, and then the morning after, just drag in the highlights and the belt ceremony type stuff after wins. And then after losses, I'll just go straight into a reaction of the previous night's game and then the farm report. So losses will be slightly less fun, which they should be. And Jake Bauers pops out to DJ LeMahieu at second base. So the final line for Jordan Montgomery today, 6 2/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, all of them earned, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, 2 home runs allowed. He's got a 4.16 ERA. By now you've noticed that there are highlights in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Typically those will be highlights from the game that you just watched, but right now the Yankees don't have any highlights. They have one hit, Giancarlo Stanton, where he hit one to the outfield wall. He hit it so hard that it kind of rolled to the outfield wall, and then he kind of gimped his way to second base. So typically I'll have at least 3 or 4 highlights that I can grab, during the episode. At the time I'm recording this, which is currently the top of the 8th, there's 1 out. Gleyber Torres just struck out looking. I still have no idea how long these are going to take to produce, how long they're going to take to publish. It might be just a couple of minutes, or it might take me like an hour. So I'm not sure how long after the game they're going to come out, and I still haven't measured out, depending on how long it takes to do it. I might be able to record one for each game, but not really release it until an hour after the game, So that's kind of what I'm working on right now, is getting that part figured out. This YouTube thing is a constant struggle back and forth, creating the right content that people are going to enjoy and creating the content that's, somewhat doable for me and doesn't require a ton of hours in front of the computer. I like to enjoy the game too, So what I've been doing is coming over during the commercial breaks and recording for a minute or two. And now that we are in the top of the 8th, now 2 outs, Urshela just flied out to center field, I figured I would just pick up and record while I'm watching the game, because we were only at 10 minutes. It's been like a really, really quick game. Yanks just went quietly in the top of the 8th, and Brett Gardner is now hitting under 200. With that out, his batting average is down to 189. He is 0 for 3 on the day. It seems like he's 0 for his last 100, doesn't it? I love Brett Gardner as a human being. I think he's worked extremely hard to get where he is and make the most of minimal physical talent, right? I mean, he was really fast, but he's little. He was basically not invited to be on his college baseball team. He had to, I think he got cut, and then he showed up the next day or something and just practiced anyway. The balls on that guy. But it worked out for him. I saw him play in AAA with Scranton back in, I want to say 2007, maybe 2008, around that time frame. I was sitting out in right field at the Durham Bulls Park in Durham, North Carolina. Great ballpark, by the way. And he hit a triple, and I remember watching him fly around the bases. I was like, wow, that is the fastest human being I've ever seen. Although I had seen Ichiro Suzuki in person, so I was probably wrong on that account. Ichiro was so much fun to watch. Not only when he was with the Yankees, but especially when he was with the Mariners as a visiting player. I saw him a number of times. I remember Chen-Ming Wong pitched against the Mariners, one of his first couple of starts in the big leagues, and Ichiro was in the lineup that night, and he made a couple of really nice catches, and then in BP, he kept hitting balls out of the ballpark. It was crazy. He's another guy that just maximized his talent despite not being a big guy. He was always stretching, always flexible. They should have Ichiro prescribe a stretching regimen for Giancarlo Stanton to get his legs back into shape. I'm sure he would do it. I think he's coaching right now. Now, granted, they have different types of bodies. Giancarlo Stanton's 250 pounds and Ichiro's about 170, 180 maybe. But the human body's the human body. Muscles stretch the way they stretch, so I'd be interested in hearing his philosophy on all that. Mitch Haniger just hit a solo home run off of Wandy Peralta. So it's gotten ugly for the Yankees, and I don't think they're going to get out of here with a win. I was impressed with Wandy Peralta when he first got to the Yankees. He has a really good changeup. He threw pretty hard. He's lefty. I like left-handed batters and pitchers as Yankees because of the ballpark that they play in. but Wandy Peralta to me has not been that impressive as of late. You can tell when some guys can fool hitters. He's a guy that it seems like hitters battle off of. He doesn't fool guys and he doesn't dominate guys. He's just kind of a average lefty. Now granted, Mike Tauchman hasn't exactly torn the cover off the ball with the Giants, but he has been great defensively. I haven't looked at the metrics, so I'm just kind of talking out of my ass there, but I have seen the highlights, and I've seen him make a number of great plays. He's also had some clutch hits, and he's a left-handed bat, something the Yankees could use right now. I bet if you ask Brian Cashman who he'd rather have right now, Mike Tauchman or Wandy Peralta, I bet he would say Mike Tauchman. He might actually say Wandy Peralta, but he'd be lying to you, because right now the Yankees have no center fielder. Just for the hell of it, I pulled up Mike Tauchman's stats. He's batting .183 with 4 home runs and 153 at-bats. He's got 15 ribbies. He's got a 62 OPS plus and a .290 on-base percentage. So offensively, he has not been good. A lot of that's with the Yankees. Defensively, he's got a .5 D-WAR, which is better than last year. So he's looked pretty good. His D-WAR in 2019 was 1.7, and that was in just 87 games. He was so good back in 2019. But he's aged a little bit too, and just not the same player. So the Yanks with another pathetic offensive performance today. They're going to have to pick it up ASAP. Brian Cashman said before the game he's not focused on making moves right now. He's focused on the draft. He wants to, quote, nail the draft. I will say this for them. They seem to have nailed the 2019 draft. Anthony Volpe is tearing the cover off the ball in the minor leagues. And then last year they took Austin Wells. He seems to be off to a decent start too. I'm really looking forward to the Futures game and seeing what Jason Dominguez can do. But right now, not looking great for the Yankees as we head to Houston to finish out the series. There is not going to be an episode of Morning Yanks tomorrow on Friday. I will do a live pregame about, I'd say 7 o'clock, maybe 6:30, something like that tomorrow night. I've been doing it 90 minutes prior to game time, and that might be a tad too early. I might move it back 15 minutes. So basically 75 minutes before game time, about an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm really looking forward to the All-Star break, taking a few days of R&R. I'm not going to post a lot on this channel. I know I said I was going to do a video about YouTube Q&A and stuff like that. I may still do that, but just with all of the things that I'm trying to work on to get this channel going, I'm kind of pushing that off on the back burner, and I'm focused more on creating efficiencies that allow me to create morning shows, evening shows, and then the post-game show, at least a few times a week. I can't commit to doing this every single night, but it was fun. It was easy. I was able to just come over here and talk and then drop in the highlights every once in a while. There was only a couple of highlights, and they were Mariners highlights, but few more things. I'm thinking about bringing on someone to do just highlights, just because I want this to be a complete channel. Not that I want to compete with Dan Rourke. He's doing his own thing. He's got a ton of views on every highlight reel, but I thought it would be a way to enhance my channel if I include that pregame lineup and starting pitcher bit, and then we put in highlights. But I would need somebody else to edit it. So I've been talking to another creator. Some of you know him, Frankie Baseball. And we're kind of working it out. I'm kind of noodling with it. It may not happen until next season, but I'm trying to bring in somebody to, enhance the channel a little bit, help me grow. And once I hit that, that milestone where I can afford to bring people on and pay them, then it's really going to take off, and we'll have content all day long, pretty much every day. That's kind of one of the long-term plans. I also have a couple of ideas for basically shows / podcasts. I mentioned it on the Brian Hoke interview, where I want to do a podcast from the stadium. And I want to bring celebrities and edit it kind of like Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, where you go have a 3-hour conversation and it's a ton of fun. And then you watch a 20 to 30 minute episode. And then maybe at the end of the year, I can put together other clips that were, not part of the episodes, that were like editing room floor type things. And that's a way for me to filter out content in the winter, and build evergreen content. Jerry Seinfeld's thoughts on aliens, that type of thing. That's kind of what I'm looking to do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Frieze more than you enjoyed the Yankees game. DJ LeMahieu, by the way, hit by a pitch in the top of the ninth. There's currently one out. I'm watching it, and I'm going to go until the end of the game. Well, Judge just bounced into a broken bat double play, and that'll do it. Seattle wins this one. The Yankees pick up just one hit. Rough day for the Bombers. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yo, all rise, gunning for the winning position. No kidding, I'm bringing the venomous sound when I'm around. It's the power like cold, throwing up your ball, leave you with smoke. Don't you know, no slacking when the cracking hits.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps other Yankees fans find the channel. If you really enjoyed it, check out the swag section. We've got tons of great designs to support all your favorite Yankees. And if you simply cannot get enough Yankees content, check out the podcast version of this channel, The Frieze by NYY Recaps, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Derek. Thanks for watching.